Now look at you walking in here looking all pretty and angry and mean and good. I know you didn't get your hair done so you could just sit down and just sit still.
Hey, we trying to have a good time tonight. Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. It's my birthday. No, it's not. But I still look good, though. How come? Ow. I bet you want an autograph. For you and your fans. Gotta do it in the penthouse. That's why I keep my pen. What you can't dance? Ain't got rhythm. What you got a man? I don't see you with him. Put your phone down. Let's get it. Forget your Instagram and your Twitter. Got me like, whoa. Wait a minute. You need to take a minute. Loosen them shoulders up. Pull it up. Let's work. Throw some perm on your attitude. Girl, you gotta relax. Ooh. Let me show you what you got to do. You gotta lay it back.
Well, hello again. I'm your host, DJLO-L. Another episode of Between Two Perms. And we're going to get right into it. Today's episode is brought to you by the Royce Smith Law Firm. We all know that the choice is Royce. And that's the sponsor of it today. We're going to do two black firsts today because tomorrow, Saturday is Juneteenth. A lot of people don't know what Juneteenth is. Juneteenth is when the slaves were freed, but it took them 2 years later to find out that they were actually free when Lincoln passed the proclamation. But you know what I'm talking about. So here's your black first. Colin Powell. Colin L. Powell became the first black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which made him the highest-ranking military advisor to the President of the United States in 1989. He was the youngest person ever to hold this position and was promoted to 4-star general when his appointment was made. Powell was especially prominent in the position because of his highly visible role in the Persian Gulf War. He was the overseer of the successful Operation Desert Storm in 1990 and the equally successful Operation Desert Shield. He retired from the military in 1993 after a stellar career, but remained in public eye. The highest civilian honor of the United States is the Medal of Honor. In 1996, Powell was the only person to have received two of these prestigious awards. President George W. Bush presented to him in 1991. President Bill Clinton presented to him the second one in 1993. That's pretty dope. In 1997, a poll conducted by the Wall Street Journal and NBC News identified Powell as the most popular American. Colin Powell, dope. It's a little bit loud here because we are back at the craft beer store because we are hosting an open mic here on June 27th. Perfect. I'm going to give you two black firsts, again, because I said we're going to be celebrating Juneteenth. We do a black first every single episode. We don't do Black History Month. We do Black History every day of the week. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it louder. And then the second one is short, too. I just appreciate this one. You guys all appreciate this one, too. But there's not much information on here. If you can see Colin Powell got a whole book. And for all the people who are listening to me on Spotify, iTunes, and all these other places, Amazon Music, you guys are missing out. Buzzsprout, all my audio listeners are missing out on the video. I mean, I'm black, I'm handsome, I'm proud, but this is just funny because Arsenio's little thing isn't got much information on it. 1989, comedian. Hey, he's a comedian. I'm a comedian. Arsenio Hall was the first black to host a talk show on national television. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and began his career in stand-up comedy. He started with Eddie Murphy in the film Coming to America. That's all I got for Arsenio. I don't understand that. The guy was so much more successful. Whoop, 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 whoop. Go Arsenio. Coming to America, too. All right. The word of the day today is brought to you by the campaign of Lou for You 2022. Lou for You 2022 is running for United States Senate. He's taking the seat from Senator Toomey, who's retiring. So Lou for You 2022. Royce, the choice is Royce, was the marketer, the promoter for the Black First. Lou for You 2022. I got something for you because I'm gonna have both of them in the same place at the same time on the next episode. Today's word is surreptitious. Surreptitious. It's sneaky, it's secret. The dinner guest surreptitiously slipped a few silver spoons into his jacket as he was leaving the dining room. I'm not saying I've ever done that. I definitely have done that. The babysitter mixed herself a surreptitious cocktail. The babysitter mixed herself a surreptitious cocktail as soon as Mr. and Mrs. Robinson had driven away.
Wow.
Surreptitious. Here's your word of the day. I got a quote for you because we do a quote too. This quote, I watched the movie The Darkest Hour last night. It was a great movie, great film. It was a film about Winston Churchill when he had to make the decision whether or not he was going to negotiate with Hitler. Great movie. And in that movie, I got the quote, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. There goes your quote of the day. Word of the day, Black First. We do this every episode between two perms. All right, let's get into the week that was. Number one, Benjamin Netanyahu is no longer the Prime Minister of Israel. Yay! We love the Jews. We love Israel. I was never a fan of Netanyahu. That dude was a war hawk, and I understand he wants to protect his people. Israel has the right to protect himself. That is great. But that dude, you send in a couple thousand rockets, maybe some person gets injured, he's going to blow up buildings and kill innocent children, men, women, and children. And he's been doing it ever since he was in there. And listen, you don't have to love him. He's a politician. He was a huge fan of Trump. He had a lot of corruption on his plate. And he was there for a long time. And the biggest thing for me is he was so disrespectful to President Obama. Couldn't deal with it. If we're sitting there spending all this money for you to protect you, you don't come to the White House and talk down on the president. You don't come to the People's Mansion, the Executive Mansion, and talk crap to the president while he's sitting there when we're doing everything we can, spending money for you to protect your people. Wasn't a fan of that. He's gone. We wish him good riddance. All right. Biden and Putin had a little meeting. The one takeaway I had from the meeting is it was a stark difference from the meeting that when Trump had the meeting with Netanyahu. They had their little joint press conferences. They're so cute. They're BFFs. Nah, Biden wouldn't get down with that. They had several press conferences, and there's a lot that we can come together that we need to work on, but there's still a lot of disagreements. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought Joe Biden was grumpy at the end. Some of the reporters were shouting questions at him, and he got a little grumpy. Like, that's old Uncle Joe for you. All right, here's something that's fascinating to me. 21 U.S. House representatives, GOP representatives, by the way, voted against giving the officers who were attacked during the insurrection. They voted against giving them the Medal of Honor. We just talked about Colin Powell when he got the Medal of Honor. These gentlemen were brave gentlemen trying to protect the Capitol, were attacked. Some of them had injuries. And 21 people said, 21 out of 435. So think about that. The overwhelming majority said, yes, let's celebrate these individuals. And 21 knuckleheads said, nope, I'm too cool for that. Interesting. Juneteenth, we already talked about. We're going to celebrate that. I think it's interesting. I date someone who's not black, gets Juneteenth off at her work. I'm black, work for a company that celebrates diversity. I don't get Juneteenth off. What's going on? That's a national holiday now. All right, let's talk about the NBA injuries. I think the NBA injuries, and LeBron was right about this, and I was going to say this before it started becoming in the news left and right. You have a shortened season, you cram everything in, and you have a shortened off season, and all we're seeing is the stars getting injured. Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul's in the. Let's talk about this. Chris Paul is in the COVID protocol. I gotta ask myself, Chris Paul, did you take the vaccination or not? Because if you did, you wouldn't be in the COVID protocol during the playoffs, the most important time of the season, and you were doing a great job, and now you're in the COVID protocol. I don't know, dude. I get everyone has their own reason why they don't want to get vaccination or whatever, but like if you're going to be in a public arena, there's going to be fans, there's going to be other players. Take the vaccination. Damn it! If you would have taken the vaccination, you could have probably got some free Laker tickets.
Yeah.
or free shirts to the Sixers games. Or a lottery ticket or something. Give everything away. All right. Here's something that I just don't understand. I guess we weren't heavy politics this week, but here's something I don't understand. The Supreme Court had to hear a case about Obamacare again. And it came back today 7-2. 7-2 majority of those justices are conservatives. 7-2 in favor of upholding Obamacare. Stop with the foolishness. These people need that health care. Stop with the foolishness. I don't get it. Something else. This is not political. Victoria's Secret is rebranding themselves. They're saying they're getting away with the Victoria's Secret angels, and they're trying to redefine what sexy is. I think this is fascinating. I think intelligence is sexy. I think success is sexy. Mm-hmm. And the golfer Megan Rapone, I think her name is, the one that's like the face of a female women's American soccer. She's going to be one of the models. And I think this is a great step. I think it's brilliant, but I also think it's a financial decision. People don't particularly care for with the clothes field, and people don't want to try to be a Victoria's Secret type person when they have clothes that are for 12-year-old boys or 9-year-old boys. I don't know this. People have told me that. You got clothes that are fitted for a 9-year-old boy. Like, no one can get into that stuff. So they've decided to rebrand, remodel, re-strategize and everything. That's great. I wanted to share something with you guys. This is our flyer for our open mic here at the craft beer store. You can see this on our Instagram. You can see it on my Facebook page. We'll be hosting an open mic. We're going to have something called the Wheel of Comedy. It's going to be awesome. I don't know what I'm going to put on the wheel just yet. It might be something silly like you get 4 minutes instead of 6 minutes. You get to get heckled. You got to do crowd work. Maybe you have to have a particular topic that the wheel spins, and you got to say something nice about Trump. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do, is say something nice about Trump. I can say something nice about Trump. I think him and his daughter would have beautiful kids. I mean, look at that. That wasn't difficult. I mean, you know, they love each other. They really like each other. You got to say something nice about Trump. So we're excited about that. You guys can't see this, my audio listeners, but this is pretty dope. Okay. Between Two Perms, we're picked up by Helium Radio. So every week they're going to be picking up my broadcast and putting it on Helium Radio. We're excited about that. Like I said, we're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, Buzzsprout. I will be performing at Philly's Funniest competition July 14th. We talked about the open mic here. Tell your friends about it. We are doing a sketch fest for the Really Late Show. I'm going to be hosting the stand-up comic session of it. It's going to be in, I believe he's in Denver. He's either in Denver or Portland. I don't remember. I'm going to be all over the place. And then our next episode, at the end of this episode, Matt Struck from the Really Late Show, Matt Struck, is interviewing me on my show. So I'm going to shut this down because you're going to hear some more of me after this. And that's it. And then the choice is Royce. Our next episode after this one, we're going to be interviewing Royce from the Royce Smith Law Firm and Lou for You 2022. It'll be a nice little panel. It'll be like Real Time with Bill Maher. I'm really excited about that. Look forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you always tuning in. Couldn't do this without you. Please like our Facebook page. Please like our Instagram. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends about it. Life is short. Live life to the fullest. Go out. Maybe do the Wheel of Death at a comedy show or something like that. Try stand-up. Maybe try sticking your finger up your butt. I don't know. Just do weird things. I don't know. My producers told me to say that. I don't know. We'll have to delete that one on the cutting room floor. Love. Like I said all the time, like the people you love. We went to a wedding and we went to a funeral in the last week. The wedding reminded me of seeing all my family for the first time after COVID. It was like a COVID family reunion. It was great. My aunt grabbed me and just started crying. And my mom started crying because my cousin, Daquan, who got married, my mom just thought about how awesome it would be if his grandmother could see him getting married. And it was just like, don't go crying waterfalls. It was just like waterworks all over the place. But it just reminds you, tell the people that you love how much you love them every single day. Learn, you know what I'm saying? I'm over here right now reading this book. It's called Things to Do While You Poo on the loo. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really informative. Like, sometimes you want to figure out is it a good poo? Is it a bad poo? You know what I mean? And I got 101 poems from Dr. Deuce, because I guess we canceled Dr. Seuss, so we got Dr. Deuce. Let me just share something with you real quick from Dr. Deuce. And it's going to be early morning dumps. They make me smile. Brown stinky lumps, passing without guile. Into the sewer pumps, they travel a while. To join the other clumps, into the biggest giant pile of poop. What I'm saying is, laugh, live, love, learn, laugh. And now, like John Oliver says, this.
Welcome, everyone. We have a very special surprise for you. I'm actually guest hosting today. My name is Matt Struck. I'm the host of Really Late Night with Matt Struck. And my next guest, you need no introduction because he's normally the host of this show. Bring to the stage the host of In Between Two Perms, Ryan Scott Kilpatrick. Bring him out, everyone. Yay! And Bella's birthday, she's co-hosting.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. How are you doing?
This is like a little bit of a bizarro world, but I can get down to this. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, how about yourself?
I'm good. I'm just I'm so happy to get a guest hosting gig. You know, I really appreciate it. And yeah, today's been hectic, but this is the best way to end it, is kind of talking comedy with one of my favorite collaborators.
Sure. My producers told me that good help is hard to find. All the guest celebrity people are booked on Jeopardy, so we went with the Really Late Night guy. So good job.
Right.
Congratulations.
And I was still like 5th on the list, and you're just like,
Yeah.
I also had that idea too of like it's like HelloFresh, but everything you just eat, you eat out of the box because you're such a busy entrepreneur that you just eat out of this box on the go. Something that I think I'd actually like.
I think we were talking about like the like sad single life, and it's like, haven't you wondered how hard it is to cook? Well, with HelloFresh singles version,
Right.
it's just like you open the box and you have like a carrot and like that's it. It's like,
Yeah.
All right, so with the ranch thing, is that kind of like is that something like you tired of those pesky little vegetables? Like, so why bother? You have a bowl of ranch.
That's very funny. Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
are you tired of
like-
just dipping ranch? Are you ready to take your ranch game up to the next level? And they like sell these convenient to-go bottles. You can just drink it on the go.
Yeah, it's like, are you tired of choking down those vegetables?
Yeah.
As the head writer for the Really Late Show with Matt Struck,
Help Enid.
I'm just not feeling this ranch thing. I'm not feeling this ranch thing. I'm just not feeling it. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't
The
get
job
it.
you want, not the job you have.
Yeah. Yes. I'm dressing for the job I
But
want.
so different scenes, like of each of us doing something different with ranch. Somebody sipping it out of a bottle with a straw.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I think that would be funny. Like just ranch overkill.
what are you working on that you're excited about coming up? And then we can talk about kind of our history and where we met.
Sure. What I'm excited about, and thanks for the question, by the way. What I'm excited about, don't you ever love it when you're interviewing someone? Like, that's a really great question. Okay, good job. What I'm excited about is, first and foremost, it goes back to when I was in comedy college, and I did get my degree in comedy college. And what I learned from comedy college with Scott Dickers is that you got to fire on all cylinders. You got to do a bunch of things. You have to commit to what you want to accomplish. So I am working on a comedy album. It's untitled yet. I am working on starting an open mic at the craft beer store. I am getting ready to go to compete at Philly's Funniest at Helium, one of the bigger, better stages here in Philadelphia. And so those are the main three things that I'm working on. And obviously there's this show that I write for called The Really Late Show with Matt Struck. And we've got a sketch comedy fest coming up in September, I believe. So that kind of can show you short-term, long-term, midterm. A short-term goal is to, get the comedy album done. And then the comedy competition, the open mic will be a reoccurring thing. It's going to be a happy hour comedy open mic on a Sunday, which is weird. Yeah. Like, I've never done a happy hour comedy open mic, and then comedy on a Sunday at happy hour is going to be interesting. And then the sketch fest by the Really Late Show, I get to host the stand-up portion of that festival. So I'm looking forward to those things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know what? When I first saw your stand-up, I was so surprised how comfortable you were for being so new. And I forget that, you haven't been here for a long time, which I think speaks volumes about like your intuition. What was it that made you first want to kind of get into the funny biz?
Well, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. I will tell you something. The overall consistent, because no one is perfect when they start out, but the overall consistent feedback that I've received that I never really understood what it meant is people say, you look really comfortable up there. And I talked to some seasoned vets, some professionals, some comedy teachers, and they say confidence is something that the crowd will notice if you're up there and you're like freezing up. But confidence has always been my strong suit. It was interesting because I was in the Manhattan Comedy School class last night, and they said, and they reiterated, the biggest fear people have is public speaking. I've never had a fear with that. I've always embraced it. When I graduated from high school, I had to come back for Black History Month to give a speech in front of 2,400 kids. And I just welcomed that idea. And then you couple that with me getting into the entertainment business, doing DJing, karaoke, hosting trivia. And people would say, and I would always make people laugh, and I would never think about doing stand-up because it's like one of the hardest things ever to do. I mean, maybe brain surgery, stand-up comedy, they're up there. And I have a friend of mine, Eric Spangler, who's a lawyer. He's not my lawyer, but he's a lawyer. And he said,
it's good to have a lawyer just nearby because you never know.
It is, but you learn in law school that you can't go around saying he's my lawyer, because then if something happens, they're looking at him. And from a legally standpoint, there's like a verbal contract. So he's not my lawyer. He is a lawyer and a friend of mine. Just so we're clear on that, Eric Spangler. But he told me I should do stand-up. And I gave a shot at it. And I would tell you something. I was so arrogant. I'm like, I'm never going to bomb. I'm great at what I'm doing. And one thing you learn when you get into comedy, they'll tell you this over and over and over again, everyone is going to bomb. It's the nature of the business. My arrogance is like, nope, I'm never going to bomb. My first time, I bombed epically. Can I just tell you? I went out there, I had this whole thing, and it's funny that you should remember this, because this is a true story. We were just talking about Steve Urkel. When I grew up, everyone said I looked like Steve Urkel. And it was like, it was painful because he was a nerdy kid. And he was like, I'm not Steve Urkel. Stop saying I'm Steve Urkel. Fast forward 20 years later, I'm wearing suspenders and I'm about to perform stand-up. And I'm like, I got on stage and I'm like, you guys, I'm tired of these Steve Urkel jokes. No laughter. I was like, you guys don't know Steve Urkel? And all of a sudden, it's like, that was my opener. No one laughed. And it's like, okay, what am I going to do to bounce back? And it was just so terrible. The host, after he came up and said, and he's the hosts are like, yeah, give it up for your guy. He was funny. Host came up after me and said, give it up for whatever the F that was. And so it was a humbling experience. And then you just learn you gotta really work on your craft.
Yeah, no, totally. It's not about like killing it every time, and it's not about always hitting the mark. To me, it really is about being creative and exploring. And when you see like with some of the clips that come out, some of my jokes don't land. And
some of them,
I'm like working out a new idea. And it's also just like, it's always good to keep practicing humility. And like especially when I'll like read a script at one of our table reads,
Sure.
what's in your head isn't the same as what comes out on paper and is read by other people. So it's really good to get in touch and then just be like, oh yeah, it's only about the jokes. It's not about my ego. It's not about my feelings. It's about the jokes. Can they be funnier? Yes. And the only way you do
Absolutely.
that is by performing and experimenting and collaborating.
I agree.
Well, I don't know about you, but for me, like just staying really active with writing and creating, it's like comedy's this interesting thing where it's both a muscle that you kind of get stronger at, but there's also a well, right? So there's like a well of ideas and you just fill up your well each week. So each week something new happens and I just hang on to it and I add it and bring it, But
Yeah.
that muscle part, I think that you miss out when you don't like put yourself in a position where you have to keep creating, whether it be like stand up or hosting or your own show, you can just grow weak on that. So I think you're doing a great job working on that
Well,
muscle.
well, thank you. And again, we learned that, and that's one of the things that I'm proud of learning in comedy college. It was just like the one thing that I would extrapolate from that is just fire on all cylinders. Anything that you can do that is related to comedy, get involved with it. I mean, he went so far. Scott Dickers, founder of the Onion, shout out. He went so far as to say, like, go to the circus and juggle. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that. But I'm saying that's one cylinder I might not fire on. I don't know. 'Cause I don't know. I'm in the jungle, not the jungle. I'm in the circus, juggling, putting a clown mask on. I mean, there are some people who can do that. I mean, maybe be a ventriloquist. I don't know, a ventriloquist act. But I've got a good mix of things that I'm doing, that I'm working on, that like you said, that helps me exercise that muscle on a daily basis.
Yeah. All right. So big picture, we log onto the internet in 15 years. Where do you envision yourself?
I envision myself definitely being an extra in several films, but more importantly, just writing. It could be for Keenan and Peele. It could be for Dave Chappelle. It could be for, Tyler Perry. My calling, I believe, is to be a comedy writer. I never wanted to be the guy that is the main draw. I feel like I have a mentor who, when I first started getting into comedy, he gave me the Paul Mooney situation. He said, if you want to be sustainable in this business, write it, copyright it, patent it, and sell it. And you're going to give it to someone who's got a bigger audience. And that joke might like Matt Struck. I mean, I only got 2 views last week. And I heard you're doing big numbers on the Really Late Show. So that's how I got into this whole idea of being in the writer's room. Because I'm like, he's got a bigger audience. So my joke can be like, and you watch the show, you're like, hey, I wrote that joke. So just that times 10, big picture, 15 years. Thanks for the question.
Right. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the great answer. Yeah, I think like what I like about kind of the group is just the camaraderie. And I really believe in every single person there. And I think if we all like stick together, we will see each other just succeed and go in whatever direction they want. The hard part is deciding which do you want in what order, I think, because I do think we can achieve all of our goals, but they don't happen all at once. Because if they happened all at once, we would freak out and get overwhelmed, like if all of a sudden you like, get a big check, you're in a movie, you got a pet horse, you got a Lambo, you can handle all those things, right? You can handle them all, but not on the same day. On the same day, your brain will melt,
First of all, I'm not getting a pet horse. Okay, I don't know who these people are.
Dude,
who want to get?
Just wait till we get some HBO money. I'm trying to get us on HBO, and we're all going to be just having pet horses.
I think I'm cool with a little boxer, maybe. Okay, this guy's running around horses. I mean, listen, can we learn something from so many people that get money so fast and they just make bad decisions? And all of a sudden, all the money's gone. I mean, how many times do we have to see that over and over and over again before people realize that, hey, that's not the way to go? We can learn from other people's mistakes. No pet horses.
Yeah. Well, and I think all of like the whole room, like when we got our Biden bucks, that was all gone in the first 20 minutes. So
The Biden bucks, yeah, that's a great one.
yeah, I've been borrowing that. I hope that's okay.
Hey, listen. Hey, we all listen. That's one thing you learn when there's a joke that it's an easy punchline. I mean, you don't, and that's one thing you learn. It's like you don't want to get mad if people are telling your jokes. The one thing I've learned consistently, and even from Scott Dickers, if someone is joke stealing, which that's frowned upon in the industry as a whole, but if you see someone doing that, that's a compliment to you that you found something there. That's something good. So it's almost a compliment that you see someone doing it. It's also, but it's also, it's like, hey, they saw something in what I was doing. So I take it as a compliment. Just try to stay positive with it.
Yeah, totally. All right. So for someone who has creativity and they're wanting to do their podcast or, write or do stand up, what advice do you have to them?
Well, if you wanted to do a podcast, one thing I learned, and we fail forward, is that the main thing is keep the content flowing, keep it creative, keep it short. Lighting and sound are the most important things. If you do a podcast and someone's jogging and they're listening to this, and all of a sudden they can hear wind in the background, there's people who automatically tune out. My situation is a little unique because I always tell my audio listeners that, hey, I've got a show too. So, I mean, I feel like I have a presentation. I'm devilishly handsome. I try to dress up, and there's interesting things we drop on the screen to keep you engaged. But I feel like everyone thinks that everyone should have a podcast. And when you realize the work that you have to put into it every single week, the consistency is the key to breakthrough. And you realize that sometimes that, hey, this is gonna go viral. And then you can't even get your mother to subscribe to your page. Like, these are things, and it's nothing against your mother. I know we threw our mothers under the buses on the last show, but this is just real life reality.
Are you trying to get my mom to subscribe, or are you trying to get your mom? Because
you know what's easier?
I kind of wish you would ask permission first to be like, hey, Matt, is it cool? I really like your mom, and I want her to subscribe to my podcast. Can I get your blessing?
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of a Justin Timberlake, and I forget the other guy's name. The bit that they did on SNL about mother lovers. We all have mothers. We love each other's mother. I'm a mother lover. You're a mother lover. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it would be easier for me to get your mother to subscribe to my podcast because it's easier to get strangers to do it than it is your actual family. And it's almost like one of those multi-level marketing situations where it's like, hey, if you want to sell this Amway product, no disparaging Amway. It's a great company. You got to get your friends, your family, your acquaintances, and your relatives to buy into that. And that's one of the most uncomfortable, hard things to do. But everyone will remember when I make it and they didn't subscribe, they're not getting floor seats. Okay, they're going to be standing room only, just so they know that. Okay, I throw that out there consistently.
Right.
But if anyone wanted to get into stand up, I would just say take a comedy class, get yourself a comedy mentor, and like we do, just fire on all cylinders. And something I was told last night from the Manhattan Comedy School that made me scared, and it made me scared, but it made me think. Whoa! He was like, you have to be willing to lose it all for comedy. That's the mindset you have to be in. And I was like, wait a second, I gotta lose all my horses before I get my horses? Like, I don't know. Like, come on, I mean, I'm doing okay. I got a couple horses. Now I gotta lose the horses to get horses again.
That's awesome. All right. One more idea, and then we'll go and end it on this. So with the Really Late Night Sketch Fest coming up, I'm attracting a lot of big names. We're getting a UFO specialist. There's talks of Beyonce. I'm going to do Beyonce in quotation marks coming to the show for legal reasons. Your lawyer. Don't have to.
He's not my lawyer. My friend, that's a lawyer.
He's not my lawyer either. He's a lawyer friend. So there's a lot of big names coming. But that being said, I'm going to ask some more big names if they can come. So if you had the chance to interview someone at Sketchfest, who would be the person? And I'm going to put this part on Twitter. Who would be the person that you would want to interview? No name is too big.
Sure. If it were a comedian, I'd want to interview Dave Chappelle or Ellen. If it were a politician, because I love politics, I'd want to interview, of course, Obama. And don't get it twisted. This would be a terrible interview, but I would interview Trump too. I would ask that guy, what's on your mind? What do you come up with these ideas? Okay. And you see how I did it? That was bipartisan. Okay.
Right.
Two ex-presidents. Yeah, exactly.
We're working across the aisle.
Yeah, sure. Lin-Manuel, you know what I'm saying. I wouldn't mind interviewing him as well. He seems like a fascinating person. And Whoopi Goldberg. There you go.
All right.
That's it.
Okay, well, I'll cut that up and we'll send it into the Twitterverse and we'll see if we could get one of them to come on for a quick interview. You never know, man.
I watched The View religiously, and Whoopi Goldberg said that Tootie from, what was it, Facts of Life? Tootie was doing a show on a college campus years ago, and Whoopi Goldberg came by, and Tootie asked Whoopi to come on the show, and Whoopi felt compelled because she knew how people had helped and laid the land for her. So she felt compelled to get back. And she's like, if someone asks me to do an interview, then I'll do it. Throwing it out there in the Twitter universe. There you go.
Awesome. Well, you've been a wonderful guest, and I'm so happy that you were able to come on your own show. I would love to have you back again. You got to invite me as co-host again. But
awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, you're just wonderful, dude. Wonderful and talented.
Yeah, you did a great job hosting. You and Bella. Good job. One take.
All right, cool.
All right.
I'm gonna exit stage right.
Show you what you got to do. You gotta laugh.